Alrighty guys, what is up? It's your boy TRUEDBZMaster back with another video, and today I'm going to be doing part 3 of my Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Vegeta guide. And today, just like with the Krillin series, I'm going to be going over Vegeta's pressure, mix-ups, and Oki. So firstly, we're going to be talking about his Blockstrings. Next, we're going to go into Anti-Relfect. We're going to go into Staggers. We're going to talk about Big Bang Attack. We're going to talk about his Crossups and mix-ups with Rekka. And then finally, we'll talk about his level 3 Oki. So, with all that being said, we have a lot to cover today. So, let's go off on this journey with his Blockstrings. So, let's get to it. Alright, talking about Vegeta's Blockstrings, there's really only one or two, depending on how you look at it, that I'm gonna go over, because pretty much everything else revolves around his mix. So I'm gonna keep this relatively short. But Vegeta's Blockstrings are overall the exact same for a lot of characters. So you basically want to do lights into mediums into heavy, and then special moves. So for example, you do something like this. So that Blockstring right there is all a true string. So all of Vegeta's normals jail into each other except for light into heavy, because that turns into an Anti-Relfect, which we'll talk about next. But you know, if you go from light, medium into heavy, you know, it's all one true string, so the opponent cannot reflect or mash. And the reason why you do this string of Rekkas instead of medium Rekkas is that all of his light Rekkas are all jailable into each other. So that means the opponent cannot reflect out of it and they cannot mash. All of the medium Rekkas can, so I don't recommend using them in a block string. I recommend using them for mix, which is Vegeta's main game plan. But Vegeta's light Rekkas are all jailable from each other. Do keep in mind that if you start off your pressure with medium Rekka into light Rekka, then so if you do something like this, then I'm pretty sure you're perfectly fine. Medium into light is not reflectable, and you know, if you do medium into light, then the last Rekka is jailable, but the medium into medium is reflectable. So just keep that in mind when going into Vegeta's Blockstrings. If you do not have an assist, I'd recommend going for his Blockstrings rather than going for mix, because without assist, Vegeta is very open to 2Hs and reflect. So I'd recommend only going for mix-ups when you know you have your assist ready. And the next Blockstring I'm going to be talking about is his Blockstring using his Ki Blast on the ground. So Vegeta has 2 Ki Blasts on the ground. He has 5S and he has 2S. Since these are 2 different normals, then Vegeta can actually use both in the same Blockstring. So if you want to do something like this, you do this, you do light into mediums into Ki Blast, heavy into Ki Blast again. So you do this. So as you can see from that example, you can extend Vegeta's Blockstring with his Ki Blast. Do keep in mind that his Ki Blasts are reflectable and super dashable. So whenever you're thinking about using his Ki Blast in a Blockstring, please be aware that your opponent can super dash or reflect in that moment. And especially if you do the Blockstrings like I do, if you start doing these in a predictable manner, then they're just going to super dash you all the time. So what I'd recommend when doing Ki Blast pressure is whenever you're about to do a Ki Blast, I'd recommend make sure you're holding down or down back. And so like for example, do something like this, right? So since I'm using 2S here, 2S, you can still get 2S by holding it down back. So you know, if you're doing something like this, use 2S, and if they super dash, you can immediately go into 2H. You can do this with 5S as well. So you do 5S and then preemptively hold down back as the Ki Blast is coming out. So as you can see, Vegeta is still doing his standing Ki Blast, but as soon as he recovers, he goes into his crouching position, meaning that he's ready to 2H. So that's what I recommend when using his Ki Blast and pressure. So yeah. Next up on the list is Blue Vegeta's Anti-Reflect. So Vegeta only has one Anti-Reflect in the entire game, and that is his Light into 5H. So as you can see here, whenever Vegeta reflects me, my 5H actually catches up to Vegeta. And so if the opponent tries to mash after reflecting, then they'll get hit by the 5H, since my 5H actually reaches that far. So as you can see, because of Vegeta's big 5H, Vegeta moves quite, a bit far. Like I said in my normals guide, his 5H has a really big range. So pretty much using any normal into 5H works. So if you do something like that into medium, So see, so even if you do mediums, then 5H should still work. But most of the times you're going to be using light into heavy, because that's how Vegeta's pressure starts, especially when it comes to his mix-ups, which we'll talk about when we get to Rekkas. But light or 5L into 5H is Vegeta's Anti-Reflect, but it's pretty much universal to all of Vegeta's normals. So if you do 2M into 5H, 5M into 5H, 5LL into 5H, you get the gist. So 5H is the anti-reflect part, but using his light buttons is how you're going to be doing it most of the time. Alright, going on to Blue Vegeta Staggers. So just like with Krillin, Vegeta can stagger his 5L. Sorry. So if you do a 5LL, you get part of his auto combo. But if you do 4L, then you get his jabs. And so you can actually use this to stagger the opponent into mashing. So if Vegeta is mashing on the very first frame he can, then I will counter hit him because I'm staggering my light attack, as you can see here. So 4L is a good stagger for Vegeta because he has a 6 frame normal. He will either clash or just straight out beat most characters in the game. So as you can see, if I time this right. So as you can see there, since both Vegetas have the exact same 5L, then they will clash at the exact same frame. So for characters like Z Broly, UI Goku, and Gogeta, they have 7 frame jabs. So most often than not, if they're mashing at the very first frame that they can, Vegeta will always beat them out because his jab is 1 frame faster. So keep that in mind when doing stuff like 6M pressure. If you use 6M and they block it, and you try to challenge with 5L, if your opponent has a 7 frame 5L, then you know that 90% of the time you'll win. So yeah, I'd recommend using this a lot when talking about staggers, because if you use 4L, then that means you still have the rest of your normals to pressure with. And as we keep talking about staggers, those options become less and less viable. Alright, the next stagger I'm going to be talking about is Vegeta's 5L into 2M. So the reason why I call this one out specifically is because this perfectly set up Vegeta's kind of RPS situation with tick throw and then 2M. So with 5L, you have the option to Dragon Rush immediately afterwards, because the cancel window is actually a lot more open than it was in previous seasons. So what that leads into is kind of a not really like a true RPS situation, but it pretty much gives you the ability to grab, and then it gives you the ability to punish mashing. So let's say, for example, you know, I'm pressuring Vegeta, and then I'm trying to make him mash on me. If he thinks I'm going to Dragon Rush him here, so let's say I do this, then I could either Dragon Rush, you know, after 4L, 4L, you know, and if they mash, I get hit. But what if I do 4L, 4L, 2M? Now, I get a full medium combo because they decide to mash on me. So, that's why I think this stagger is really important. Like I said, Vegeta's game plan is to mix, but if you don't have an assist, or you want to save it for a more advantageous position, then this is a really good option to use, because like I said, it leaves Dragon Rush on the table by using his 5L or 4L if you're going to do it twice. So, you know, if your opponent's not mashing on you, then you can go for Dragon Rush. If they're going to mash on you, you know, you can use 2M to punish and then get a full combo. And then if they reflect, you know, you can do, you know, after 2M, if they reflect your 2M, then you can 5H and then get an anti-reflect. So, yeah, I'd really recommend using 5L into 2M, and then 5L into DR as an option for pressure. Okay, and the very last stagger I'm going to be going over is his stagger into Rekka. So this pretty much goes into any normal, but in my notes here I have 5M because that keeps the opponent standing, and so it's a lot easier to confirm into Rekkas with the opponent standing up. So for example, if I do something like this, you know, and then I punish them for trying to mash, you know, on my Rekka. So that's the entire point. You want, for your Rekka pressure, you know, if you want to stagger your Rekkas, you want to use your normals as a way of, you know, getting that hit confirmed. And as you can see, you know, since Vegeta is still standing on the ground, then that means he can super attack and then get the confirm. And this works anywhere on screen. So if you do something like this, and then you get the combo afterwards. So this is a rare occurrence, I would say. I don't really see too many blue Vegeta players, including myself, try this option. Because usually, once you're in your opponent's space, you want to mix, right? But this option is still really good, even though it's not used to its fullest potential, because, you know, Vegeta's a mixed character. But being able to stagger your light Rekkas into a super is always a good option to have on the table. Next up on the list is Vegeta's Big Bang Attack. So I talked about this move in my specials guide. But, so what I talked about there is that in a previous patch, they made Big Bang Attack +3 on block. So what that means is specifically in the corner, if I use Big Bang Attack in a block string, then I can use my 5M to actually continue my pressure because I am plus. So if I do something like this, you know, since I'm +3 here, then I can go into 5M and then continue my pressure because, you know, 5M is a really far-reaching move. So there's pretty much nothing else to it. You know, you just do any normals into Big Bang, and then you continue your pressure from here. Some noteworthy things is that Big Bang Attack is not a true block string. You can reflect the first and second hit of it. So if you're doing something into 5M, if you do it into 2M, 5L, you know, any normal, you can reflect the first part, which is this part right here, and then you can reflect the actual shooting of the Big Bang Attack, which is right here. So you can reflect at 2 different points of the Big Bang Attack. This move is quite fast, you know, so if you're doing like, you know, 5L Big Bang Attack, you know, most people aren't going to be reflecting there, but the longer your block string goes, you know, if you do something like this, and then, you know, you know, you're a lot more likely to get reflected as the pressure continues. But you know, if you just do something like this, then most of the time your opponent is not going to reflect on you. But you know, reflect is still a powerful option against this, so I would use this with caution most of the time. Well, yeah, most of the time. But if you know your opponent's not going to reflect or mash, you know, take your turn back, because that's what it's here for. Next is Vegeta's Crossups. So Vegeta's Crossups are pretty simple. It's just IED jump M. You know, as you can see, his jump M allows him to reach the opponent. For this, I'd recommend using the dash macro. So if you don't know, if you use the super dash button, you know, and hold forward while doing that, you get a dash micro. So the how I do this is I actually jump forward at the same time. So I jump and then I hit forward at the same time to get this, and then I do the super dash button. So if you get this down, you can actually jump. You can instant air dash like as soon as you like go off the ground, and so it makes this a lot easier. You know, so characters with really far-reaching normals, this is really good. Characters like Vegeta, UI Goku, Kid Buu, Android 21, all those characters with really big normals can really use this, and so can Vegeta. So most of the time you'll be able to confirm it with 5M. So as you can see, you know, Vegeta's 5M is far enough to where it does connect with the opponent. But if you're not 100% sure, you can always do Ki Blast here. So, you know, if you do something like that, you know, if you do Ki Blast, if the opponent gets hit by the Ki Blast, you can go into your super attack. So I'll show an example of that. So as you can see from those two examples, you can confirm with 5M, 5mm, and then you can also confirm with JS. So both options are available to you. The JS confirm is a lot easier than the 5M confirm, because you know, with 5M you have to land on the ground first, whereas JS you can just do it immediately as you press JM. The thing is though, is if your opponent calls you out on this, they can super dash while you're doing the Ki Blast. So, you know, just pick your poison. I would say practice the 5M route. That way, you know, you get a true block string, or you get a true combo whenever you do this. But having this option free, you know, increases your damage, and it's also a lot easier. So, you know, you still have the option, which is good. Alright, now it's time for the big boy. We have Rekka Mix. So, first off, I'm going to be going over the general rules and precautions when it comes to Rekka Mix, and then I'm going to talk about the 3 types of Rekka Mix. So, the general thing about Rekka Mix is, like I said in my specials guide, Vegeta's medium Rekkas is what you want to use to mix up. And particularly his first Rekka, and then first medium into heavy Rekka. So those are going to be your main 2. You know, this is really important with level 3. This is light Rekka into medium Rekka, so that's really important when it comes to level 3 Elki, but we'll talk about that later. But yes, the 2 main ones is medium Rekka and then medium heavy Rekka. So, the reason why I have this separated into 3 parts is because Vegeta can actually get Rekka Mix with the first medium Rekka in mid-screen, but with only certain characters. So, the things we're going to talk about in terms of general stuff is Vegeta wants 21 frames of block stun with an assist in order to get his Rekka Mix. The reason behind this is because whenever Vegeta does Rekka, as he's recovering from the Rekka, as you can see, you know, Vegeta recovers in the air, which gives him the ability to air dash. So in this portion of the Rekka, Vegeta is completely vulnerable. So with 21 frames or more of block stun, you can actually protect Vegeta here. So I have GT Goku and Android 16 because they have over 21 frames of block stun. So 16 has 26, and then Goku has 40. So both of these characters have that requirement of 21 frames or more. So it keeps Vegeta tight as a block string. Now, the thing you want to keep in mind is that you don't want to do Rekka and assist at the exact same time. And particularly with characters like Android 16 who are really close to that 21 barrier. Characters like GT Goku kind of don't have to worry about that, because essentially you're getting double the block stun. But for characters like Android 16, who is really close to the 21 threshold, you do not want to do Rekka and assist at the exact same time, or even beforehand, because at that point it's not real mix. So you kind of want to do Rekka, then assist. So something like that. You know, if you do both at the same time, you're more likely to get 2H'd or reflected. So I'd recommend, you know, do Rekka, then assist. Don't do assist Rekka, you know. Rekka, assist. Rekka, assist. You know, just to make sure that you get the block stun you need to keep it true afterwards. After that, no medium Rekkas jail into normals, so reflect is always on the table. So like I said, you know, all of Vegeta's normals do not jail into medium Rekka. So keep that in mind, that reflect is always going to be your enemy when it comes to performing his mix-ups. There are certain characters with high enough block stun to where this doesn't matter. Kid Buu and Jiren are the standout characters for that. Both of their assists can give Vegeta mix-ups into his Rekkas and still have enough block stun for you to mix out of it. But for most characters, that's not really the case. So whenever you're doing medium, just be sure to know that your opponent can reflect it, and you're gonna have to either chase them down or bait it out with a Ki Blast. So keep that in mind. Okay, the first type of Rekka mix I'm going to be talking about is his quarter circle forward medium Rekka, but specifically mid-screen. So as I talked about, his real mix comes from this Rekka in particular. So the way you want to do this is you want to do medium Rekka into assist, but certain characters, you know your beam assist, you have, you know, Kefla, 21, Broly, all those assists have something called pushback. And so it's basically whenever your opponent blocks something, there's a certain amount of frames that the opponent gets pushed back because of the character's actual assist. So, you know, basically if I do 5L, you know, as I keep doing 5L, Vegeta's gonna get farther and farther away from me. That's what pushback is. So how this affects Vegeta as the point character and the assist is that assists also have pushback. You know, as you can see, GT Goku pushes the Vegeta back just a little bit, and 16 does as well. So this affects Vegeta's mix-ups, because if the assist has too much pushback, then Vegeta can't properly mix up. The way you can test this is that if you do medium Rekka into assist, if Vegeta's 2L doesn't reach here, then it's not real mix mid-screen. But if it does reach, so as you can see, Vegeta's 2L reach there, then you know it's real mix. So that's the big reason why this section exists, because not all assists in the game have this. The reason why I chose GT B assist and then 16A assist is because they meet the requirements needed for the mix-up. You have low block stun, or not low block stun, low pushback, and you have enough block stun for the mix-up to be real. So, you know, if you do something like this, now you're in. If you do something like this, now you're in. So the air dash light still works. So if you do something like this, bam, 50-50, high-low. If you do something like this, 50-50, high-low. So that is more important than... I mean, it really just depends on your team comp. You know, I'm going to be talking about the second Rekka mix after this one, and that one's a lot more generalized. That one pretty much any assist in the game can do. But specifically, there are only specific assists that can give Vegeta this mid-screen mix-up. So I'd say test out your teams to see what assist does what for Vegeta, but the other two assists, or the other two Rekka mix-ups are pretty much universal to all assists that have more than 21 blocks done. So, just to recap, only certain assists can give Vegeta this mix-up. So I would say, if you're running a blue Vegeta team, I would at least get one of these characters on your team. But with the other Rekka mix I'm going to be talking about, it's not that big of a deal. Okay, so the next Rekka mix I'm going to be talking about is crossover forward medium but in the corner. So like I said in my last segment, there are only certain assists that allow you to get this mix up mid-screen. So for my examples, I have Nappa and Yamcha. So both of these characters have really good assists. Yamcha has a 40 blocks done assist, and then Nappa has a 35 blocks done assist. But the thing that makes these characters different than Android 16 and GT Goku is the pushback. So if I try to do, you know, the Rekka mix with Nappa and Yamcha, as you can see, Vegeta's 2L cannot reach here, so that means it's not real mix. So basically, what you want to do is use these characters' assists in the corner, and so that is what makes this mix-up true, because you know there's no pushback in the corner, as you can see, because they're in the corner, they can't move anywhere. So basically, every single assist that has higher than 21 block string can do this mix-up. So that's what makes Vegeta really, really terrifying in the corner, because you know, once we get into into the third mix-up, which is what we'll talk about next, Vegeta in the corner doesn't have to spend any resources but his assist in order to get this mix-up. So, you know, Yamcha gives him free 50-50s right here. Nappa gives him free 50-50s here. So that is what makes Vegeta really, really powerful, and that is what his true game plan in this game is. He wants to get you to the corner, and then Rekka mix, and then 50-50 you. And in particular, he wants assists with a lot of visual noise. And so I chose Nappa here because look at all that visual noise right there. With that giant explosion, you can't really see what's going on. A 50-50 is still a 50-50, but if your opponent can't see, then it basically makes it like so your opponent is never gonna block correctly. Also with Yamcha, you know, look at Yamcha. Look at all like the hit effects right there. Like you're not gonna be able to see what Vegeta's doing there. And so, you know, Vegeta, you know, being the 50-50 monster he is, you know, he's gonna 50-50 you, and then you're gonna have to guess. So that's really, really powerful. So for this section, I want to preface that you know, every character in the game have at least one assist that gives Vegeta his Rekka mix in the corner. The real thing is, do they have a lot of visual noise? So Nappa, Yamcha, Z Broly, I think Android 21, Beerus, you know, those types of characters can provide a lot of visual noise when it comes to his Rekkas, and so it makes it even more harder to block, because not only are you trying to see what Vegeta is doing, you're also trying to see past what the assist is doing. So, you know, like I said, a 50-50 is still a 50-50. You're still guessing high or low, but having that extra visual noise will actually make it a whole lot harder for the opponent to see what you're doing. So, so this Rekka is really, really good as well. Like I said, this is pretty much Vegeta's game plan. He wants to knock you down into the corner. Once you get up, mix time. So, yeah. Okay, and the last Rekka mix I'm going to be talking about is medium Rekka or Crossup forward, medium into heavy. So this guy right here. So as I kept blabbering on about pushback, this actually fixes that problem. So I have base Goku and Ginyu here. So as you can see, Ginyu pushes Vegeta far away, and then Goku pushes the opponent really far away. So I chose these two in particular because, like I said, they provide the block stun needed for the mix-up, and then also the pushback on these assists mixes so that Vegeta cannot 50-50 mid-screen. So as you can see, Vegeta cannot get the real mix mid-screen. But this actually fixes his problem. So as you can see, Vegeta actually circles around the opponent. And so you can do this. And so now the push block actually leads the opponent into Vegeta's face because Vegeta is on the other side. And so the Rekka mix is still a threat because Vegeta recovers in the air. And so he can go high and then he can go low. So this is really, really good. And so the thing I want to preface about this mix-up in particular is that Vegeta has to have meter. So as you can see, my meter is going down by half because of Vegeta's, Rekka. So this is really good, mid-screen 50-50s, but I wouldn't really do this unless I know I'm gonna kill from it. If you're not gonna kill, I recommend just using Staggers in order to open your opponent up. But, if your opponent has really good defense, then, 50-50 them, is still the way to go, if they can really block. But if you know your opponent is very mashy or reflect heavy, I wouldn't really recommend using this Rekka mid-screen. There are some combos that can actually negate the meter penalty of this game, which is why I am a little bit on the fence of using this, because this does put you in meter penalty because you're using meter. So it's not as bad as using double supers or something like that, but the meter penalty is still a factor in all this. So if you're very confident that you're going to be able to kill from it, then I recommend 50-50, and then if they don't block, you get the kill. Yeah, this version of the Rekka mix pretty much makes every single assist with 21 or more block stun viable. So like I said, it's always going to be the strongest in the corner because you don't have to worry about meter penalty, because you literally just normals, Rekka, and then assist in the mix. In mid-screen, you have to worry about having meter as well. So if you don't have meter, you can't do this. As you can see, you can't do it. So make sure you have meter when you're doing this, and then also make sure your assist has enough block stun. The pushback doesn't really matter, because since Vegeta circles around, it doesn't matter how far the assist will push them, it'll go straight into Vegeta. Lastly, we're gonna talk about Vegeta's level 3. So there's multiple layers to his level 3. Most of it I went over in Krillin's guide because it pretty much follows the exact same logic. It is a beam level 3, so pretty much everything about Krillin's assist applies here to Vegeta. So, being able to vanish and then IAD, M, or same size super dash still applies. You can still run up Anti-Relfect. You can, in the corner, you can still do safe jump, IAD heavy, safe jump, or just jump up. JM for meaties. So like I said, pretty much everything still applies when it comes to Vegeta level 3 and Krillin's level 3. So, if you do that, you do something like that. I actually messed up. Let's see if I can actually get it off. So you vanish. Ah, crap. This is a lot harder because the opponent is still crouching. Let's see if I can get it. Nah, fuck it. Well, anyway, you guys get the gist. You know, if you vanish, you can do IAD jump M, and then if they expect that, you just jump up, super dash, or do command grab, dragon rush, same thing. In the corner, you have jump forward, medium. So you have this as a meaty. This is a meaty overhead. You have, IAD heavy. That's what most people go for. So something like that. And then you bait out reflect or dragon rush or whatever. And then you still have super jump float. So if you hold super dash while level 3 is active, you get a super jump IAD. So as you can see, this is a normal IAD. And then this is a super jump IAD. And then as you can see, Vegeta can float from there. So that gives you the ability to IAD and then fast fall. So something like that. And then if you want to, float and then heavy, you can also do that. You can float and float. You can overhead and float, sorry. So as you can see there, my heavy didn't come out, but you guys get the gist. So the reason why I'm just breezing through this, because like I said, this all applies, this all comes from my Krillin guide. So I went into more depth there, but you guys get the gist. Vegito, Vanish level 3 mix exists. Corner, safe jump, JM or jump heavy. But the real thing I want to talk about is Vegeta's Rekka level 3. So, if you do level 3, Vegeta, as the opponent is recovering, so at this point, you can actually do light, medium Rekka. So do this as the opponent is waking up. This is susceptible to reflect, so keep that in mind. But the whole point of this is, so as you can see, Vegeta got hit there, but you can actually dash up. So as you can see there, so you actually still get your air actions. Even though you didn't start from this, it's still a medium Rekka. So Vegeta can still mix from this. So if you do level 3, as the opponent's getting up, and then 50-50. So the thing is that you need an assist. So Videl gives you plenty of block stun, and then Trunks gives you plenty of block stun. So the setup is this: level 3, Rekka, assist, mix. And then there you go. There is an easy 50-50 off of Vegeta's level 3. So, that's basically the whole gist of it. Like I said, any normal or any assist with more than 21 block stun applies here. So Trunks and Videl apply here. GT Goku, Android 16 apply. Ginyu, Goku, pretty much anybody with a good assist applies here. Full screen, this doesn't actually work. So as you can see, they go full screen, and so it doesn't reach them in time. So this is only for the corner, but as we'll go into the next guide, which is combos, Vegeta can actually get from corner to corner very easily. So Vegeta not being in the corner is pretty much a very rare occurrence. Vegeta's pretty much always going to be in the corner, and so if you level 3, you have access to this mix-up. If you don't level 3, you have access to this mix-up, and so on and so forth. Alrighty guys, that is going to be it for this guide. So just a quick overview of what we went over today. So first we talk about Vegeta's Blockstrings. So all of his normals go into light Rekkas for a true string. We talked about how you can implement both of his Ki Blast into one Blockstring for Super Dash and Reflect bait. We talked about Vegeta's Anti-Relfect, which is light or any normal into 5H because of the very big range of it. We talked about Vegeta's Staggers, which was his 4L into 4L. We talked about 5L into 2M. So we talked about, you know, 5L into DR, which sets up the RPS for 2M. We talked about staggering your Rekkas. So, you know, if you do something like this, and then you wait, do your Rekkas. If they get hit, you super that, or you super. If they don't get hit, you're perfectly fine. Next, we talked about his Big Bang attack being plus on block, and then being able to use 5M as a way of getting in on your opponent. We talked about cross-ups and how his JM allows you for very easy cross-ups. And then we talked about how you can confirm with 5M, and then you can also confirm with JS. We also talked about his Rekka mix. We talked about regular Rekka mix, which is his Crossup forward medium, mid-screen with only certain assists. So GT Goku and Android 16 have low pushback, so it allows Vegeta to 50-50 mid-screen. We talked about the exact same setup in the corner, which is universal for a lot of assists in the game. So pretty much every character has an assist that gives this to Vegeta. And then we talked about his cross-up mix-up, which basically allows any assist with over 21 blocks to work mid-screen. But it does require meter, so if you're going for this mix-up, make sure the opponent dies off of it, because if you still have to apply pressure afterwards, you might not have meter to kill. You might not have meter to kill the opponent afterwards. And then lastly, we talked about his level 3 Oki, which is, you know, stuff like IAD heavy. We talked about jump forward JM. We talked about super jump IAD. You know, if you super jump and then float, you get overhead, and then you IAD fast fall 2L. We talked about that. And then we talked about Vegeta's level 3 mix in the corner with his Rekkas. So, you know, level 3, and then you do Rekka into assist, and then that's easy 50-50. So overall, I think Vegeta's mix potential is pretty much one of the highest in the entire game. Probably maybe top 10, maybe even top 5 mix potential in the game, just because most of the time he's getting 50-50s for free, because this doesn't cost any meter whatsoever. And so, you know, it's not like he has to use his heavy Rekka to 50-50. He can do it with certain assists anywhere on screen, and then in the corner pretty much at all times. So Vegeta's mix potential is out of this world. His pressure is pretty okay. He has good buttons, as I went into the first guide in this series. So his buttons are overall good. So his staggers are okay. Him having a 2L is good. Far-reaching medium buttons, a really far-reaching 5H. And so, you know, his staggers are good. And then, you know, his level 3 Oki is good as well. Like I said, go into Rekka for easy 50-50s. And then he still has the universal ID, jump M, and super jump float. So overall, this portion of Vegeta is the core of Vegeta. I feel like if you're playing this character, you're playing him for the mix and his damage. So, you know, Vegeta's mix-ups are good, his pressure is good, and his Oki is good as well. So, with that being said, guys, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to hit that subscribe button for more guides in the future, and be sure to check out my Twitter as well. I have a link in the description below. I often, you know, comment on Twitter. You know, I'm free to chat with. If you want to talk with me specifically about a video that you want, if there's any ideas, if you want me to talk about, you know, the state of the game, maybe other fighting games like Melty Blood, Skullgirls, Blaze Blue, all those titles. You know, if you want a video request, I can also do that as well. So please be sure to let me know in the comment section down below, or hit me up on Twitter, because I'm always on there. So with that being said, guys, I'm gonna put this video to a close, and I will see you guys in the next Blue Vegeta guide. Sayonara.